Welcome back, 757 soccer fans, and welcome to the 757 Soccer Chat with me, your host, JC. So glad to be here with you guys today as we kick off the first day of soccer season. Now, I'm presumably making this podcast a few days early. However, I appreciate you guys joining me for the next, 30, 45 minutes, depending on how long I talk and depending on how long you want to listen. But either way, I appreciate you guys hanging out, tuning in, and spending some time with me as we talk all things high school soccer within the 757. Just a couple things wanted to get off the chest today. We're going to talk about what I'm going to label the Peninsula District stupidity and the scheduling nightmare that the Peninsula District's decision has caused everyone else within the Eastern District, the Southeastern District, the Beach District, the Bay Rivers District, and just how badly a lot of folks here in the 757 got screwed over. So we're going to talk about that, the scheduling issues that it presents, the playoff implications that it has. We're also going to go over the top 5 things that I like about preseason. I'm going to talk about a lot of things that make me happy when it comes to the new season being upon us. Also going to discuss the top 5 things that I don't really care for when it comes to the preseason. Trust me, there's some things that you're going to think about and go, yeah, I don't like that either. Because while we enjoy the preseason for what it gives us and what it brings, there are also some painful parts of the preseason that we all, as collectives, do not appreciate. Coaches and players especially. So, and then I'm going to round out talking about some of the matches that we're going to see when it comes to this preseason schedule. Some Beach versus Southeastern clashes, a couple of Bay River squads coming down or going up when it comes to taking on the top competition here in the 757, and how it's all going to pan out as far as what the teams look like and what they can expect moving forward into the regular season. So, check in, make sure to hang out for a little while. This is the 757 Soccer Chat. Just to kind of get into this, when it comes to the issues that we're having with this Peninsula District problem. If you are unaware of how this all has panned out, for some reason, and this is me going to be going into this with a few things that I don't have answers to. I haven't sought answers to. If anybody does have answers, let me know. Or if you have insight, if you have thoughts, I'm keen for those as well. But the Peninsula District decided as a whole for several sports that they play at the high school level, they are going to go with a home and away series when it comes to their matchups between their schools. And then the teams can fill in their schedule as they please beyond those 16 games. Now, the Gloucester has left the Peninsula District. They are now a part of the Bay Rivers District. And it is Menchville, Woodside, Kicquetan, Warwick, Denby, Heritage, Hampton. I'm going to forget a couple off the top of my head. Woodside. Did I say Woodside? It's Menchville, Woodside, Kicquetan, Warwick, Bethel, Hampton, Denby, Heritage. There's one more. I'm sorry. I forgot. It's been a long day. Teaching is hard. So when we look at this, there's 9 teams in the Peninsula District, which means you have 8 opponents. Your school and then 8 others, which means you play your district 16 times when it comes to soccer season, a home and away. Meaning you only get, because now the VHSL allows for 17 matches for a regular season for any given team, you only get one more regular season match and then you get your 2 scrimmages. Now, on the outset, that sounds really awkward. And it really is. Like, let's look at the facts of the matter. On the girls' side, Menchville blew through everybody last year and isn't expected to slow down anytime soon. On the boys' side, Menchville handled business and don't seem to be showing any signs of not being able to do so moving forward. So we get a top-loaded division that has teams that are rallying up to being better squads. And then in the lower portions of the conference, they can play each other competitively, but then forcing them to play the other schools that just have more soccer players, that have more natural soccer talent, they're screwed. And it's becoming more and more apparent to me, the closer we get to the season, that we're just going to have issues. And we're going to see the issues across the board. And I genuinely, I think this is Peninsula District stupidity. This is the stupidest thing that they could have done. And I'm not going to mince my words on that. I'm not going to backtrack my thoughts. It's stupid. You have a number of schools that should all be playing other teams. They should be playing in the win. They should have competition elsewhere outside of the peninsula. It's and beyond just the competitive aspect, there's the social aspect of it too. Is why are kids just playing kids in the peninsula? They've already been playing against those kids for their entire lives. You know, they need to spread their wings. They need to put the talent elsewhere, or they need to take the talent elsewhere so that they can show off and show out and do what they can. It does not make any semblance of sense, except maybe financial. I will concede that if all of the teams that are playing in the Peninsula District are all Peninsula District teams, they've only got but so far to go. So you're saving on buses, you're saving on gas, maybe, you know, just on the wear and tear of vehicles. And okay, fine, sure, whatever. But what you're paying for those things with is you're paying for it with experience, and you're paying for it with just the general, the whole idea of sport, the whole idea of competition is gone. Just absolutely out the window. Because what's the point of trying to compete unless you're trying to beat everybody? Not just the people in your small circle, but everybody. Now, couple places to go with how this pans out. From a competitive aspect, it really screws up the balance for the teams. When you start to consider teams like Phoebus, who had finally found footing in a sport, in a division that they had trouble finding footing in for a long time, and they finally have reached a good level They've finally reached a foothold, and then the goalposts get moved. That frustrates me, and that should frustrate everybody. Because what kind of message are we sending to everybody here? It's a message of, hey, hard work doesn't matter, effort doesn't matter. Even if you get to your goal, it's not going to be worth it, because we're just going to make the target different again. So I'm disappointed in that. And so for teams like Phoebus and Denby, who, if they were given the opportunity to schedule their own matches, have been able to put together in the past some competitive schedules that give them an opportunity to get into the playoffs, that give them an opportunity to compete, that give them an opportunity to play equitable competition, to play an equivalent competition at a competitive level, because that's really what we want. I don't want to see blowout games. I want to see competitive games all across the board. Be honest with you, if I had my way, there would be competitive matches every single night of the week. And we wouldn't have games where you've got teams that are blowing other teams out 11, 12, nothing. It doesn't make any sense. To the credit of, on the flip side of that, to the credit of those teams that are that good, it's a detriment to them as well. It's a safety concern to the players that are quality. It's an opportunity for a lot of them to get hurt in opportunities that they don't need to be in. It's an issue of, are you actually getting better if you're beating teams by a mercy rule every other night? I don't think that's the case. I think teams like the Menchvilles, like the Kicatans, the Warwicks, they need the Woodsides. They need that push on a regular basis, on a night in, night out basis. You know, yes, you're going to have some clubs, some schools in your district that aren't as good. I get that. I'm an Eastern District guy. I understand that you're going to play some teams that are way out of your league, and sometimes you're going to play, depending on who you coach for or who you play for, you're going to play some squads that are way below your level. I get that. That's just the game. But we don't have to keep doing it over and over and over and over again. Home and home series is overkill. It is absolute overkill. Why does Menchville need to play Heritage twice? Why does Menchville need to play Hampton twice? Why? Why? It doesn't make any sense. I would rather watch Heritage and Lakeland play. I would rather watch Hampton and Norcom play. I would rather watch Menchville and Kempsville play. I would rather watch Kicatan and Nansman River play. I'd rather watch Warwick play Granby and Woodside play, there's another 5B squad, Kings Fork. I'd rather see those matchups instead of watching Warwick and Kicatan play each other on the same tiny postage stamps of soccer fields that they both have inherited, because Hampton and Newport News think that playing soccer in fields of daisies and buttercups is the best way to do it. I don't understand. That kind of pushes to my other point or my other idea on this whole Newport News thing. Todd and Darling, they were set up to be used as multi-use fields. I don't think, now granted, our schools might be wrong. I'm not sure. I haven't seen but one match where one of those stadiums is being used. And I'm sure like the schedule is going to be updated, or like, hey, it says we're playing at home, but we're playing at the stadium. I'm sure there's a case of that in a lot of places. If somebody knows more than me, let me know. But if you look at our schools, they're playing it at the high schools every single time. So, it just does not make sense. And we've now set a group of kids up, a generation of kids up. Okay, we'll call a generation every 4 years. We've set these kids up to either experience a lackluster success or an excruciatingly painful failure on such a regular basis. And it's absurd. This is all before we even get to the playoff implications of what it means. Because it really sets a precedent for some match fixing or some points fixing. It sets the precedent for teams missing out on the playoffs that otherwise would have had a chance. And that they've signed the people who did this, the people who made the decisions. Now, the way I understand it, and please somebody correct me if I'm wrong, it was a vote by the athletic directors to make this happen. Now, again, I do not know if that is correct. It is what I have heard. It is hearsay. It is out in the wind. My best guesses and my best thoughts. But the athletic directors voted on, hey, this is what we're going to do. And who thinks this is a good idea? Raise your hand. Great. Who thinks it's a bad idea? Raise your hand. All right, the yeses have it. And they went about their business and to make it easier, seemingly, on themselves. But they've screwed everybody else in the process. If you look at teams like Phoebus, teams like Denby, teams like Heritage and Hampton, those are all 4A schools. So all of those teams playing each other, taking their shot at the playoffs. The Heritage might be... Did Heritage bounce again? I don't know. But you get my gist. Okay, if they're in 4A, they have to get wins to get into the playoffs. And especially now that 4A has taken away their stipulation, as far as I'm aware, from what I've been told, that losses to opponents that have more value, that are Class 5, Class 6, they don't give you power points anymore. It's strictly wins, and wins give you power points, ties give you power points. A loss doesn't give you anything. So Phoebus, Denby, Hampton, maybe Heritage, they're all losing out by beating up on each other with no guaranteed wins on their schedule, or no further guaranteed competitive games on their schedule, except for the games that they're going to play against themselves. And when we're looking at 4A, we're looking at Manor, we're looking at War Hill, we're looking at Gloucester, we're looking at Churchland, Smithfield, Jamestown. Those 6 alone. Did I miss anybody? I think I'm no, because then the 4, yeah, so it's 10. Those alone, that's frustrating. Especially if the same format kept for 6 teams instead of 8 teams. Trying to get into one of those last 2 playoff spots as a 5 seed or a 6 seed, Churchland's going to have just a regular advantage because they're going to play the regular Eastern District schedule, and then they can go out and schedule opponents that they could have opportunities against. They could have opportunities against an Indian River or Kings Fork or a Lakeland. Teams that are on par, or teams like I know King. If I'm not going to say Kings Fork just yet because they're 5B, they can go out and look for teams like Arcadia, or they could go play Southampton. They could go play Franklin, things of that nature, and They're playing schools that are much smaller. And so the teams that are in the Peninsula District, in that sense, are getting cut out of the equation because they're just not going to have enough opportunities to get wins if they're playing the same teams that they're consistently not having great results against. It's just the surety of the matter. If you lose to a team 7-0 on a Tuesday, nothing's in March, nothing's going to turn around on a Thursday in May and say you're going to do the opposite. That's just not how the game works, and we all know it. So we all understand that those teams are getting screwed. On the flip side of it, if we look at the Warwicks, if we look at, and again, this is kind of based on last year, right? Based on last year's results. We look at the Warwicks, the Woodsides, the Kickahtans, they're all going to spend their time beating each other up. And then they're all going to be trying to take a pot shot at Menchville, trying to get a game, trying to get that extra W that they're going to get. And then if Menchville follows on, and I'm talking kind of boys' side here, if Menchville follows what they've done so far, well, they're looking at racking up 13, 14, maybe even 15 wins and just automatically jumping a 1 seed. Just because they have the points. And then if we're looking at the triumvirate of Kicktan, Warwick, and Woodside, just looking at the statistics, looking at what they're potentially getting, they're potentially looking at 7 or 8 wins that they can usually count on. And in a format like 5B, where it's 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, 0 for a loss. Well, if you've got 21 to 24 points in pocket, you've already pretty much locked up a number 2, a number 3, or a number 4 seed. Because the other teams like Maury, Kings Fort, Granby, Nansemond River, they have to turn around and they have to go out of their way to find matches to then equal that amount. And I'm pretty sure that even though that those teams play in the Eastern District, or in Nansemond River and Kings Fort case, the Southeastern District, you're not going to find 8 wins just sitting in a cookie jar somewhere. It's not how that works. It's never going to be how that works. So we have an issue in competitive fairness when it comes to our playoffs, because now these teams' results are getting skewed because they're only playing certain people. If you can't tell, I've changed locations. I'm actually now in the parking lot of Salem and going to go watch a little bit what's left of the girls' match and then watch some of the boys' match and then take care of some other business this evening. But to kind of just touch on this whole point as a whole, competitively, this is unfair. It's unfair to the teams that are in the lower portion of the division. And it's unfair to the teams that are going to have to deal with it in the playoffs. If I was Nansemond River, Granby, Norview, that was the other one I forgot about, Norview. Sorry, guys. Maury, Kings Fork, I'd be raising a stink. And here's just my last kind of segue with this. The fact that the VHSL did nothing with this and isn't preventing this as some sort of collusion type activity on behalf, the collusion would be on the behalf of the athletic directors or whoever is in charge of doing this stupid thing on the Peninsula District. They should be like, that's a problem. The VHSL should have had a clause that puts their foot down on this type of activity, because the non-collaborativeness of this action goes against all facets of what the VHSL mission statement is for: sportsmanship, athletic competition, fostering camaraderie amongst student athletes, like the whole BS shebang that the VHSL, says so that, hey, this is what it's for. No, it's so that high school kids can have a place to play sports. Don't BS us. But if you're going to be a useful organization, when stupid stuff like this rears its head, you should be the first one going, not today. Like, you should be Dikembe Mutombo in this situation. You should be, no. Like, this is not how we do things. Because we genuinely have taken away opportunities for these kids to play against other teams, other players, and it's not good for the game. It's not good for the competition here in the Hampton Roads. It's not good for the kids as a whole. I can't see how anybody could be on board with this unless you either think that this is the best idea because it was your idea, or you benefit from this and you selfishly are okay. So that's a handful of people, and I just genuinely, like, it's abhorrent. The fact that this is going to happen, this stupid, absolutely moronic concept is going to happen, and it has happened. Here's what I expect to happen. I expect the aforementioned larger 5B schools, I expect them to have the majority of the top seeds in the tournaments, in the boys tournament, and probably even the girls tournament. And I expect the teams like Nansemond River, Norview, Maury, Granby, Kings Fork to be scrapping for wins and for points. And one of them is going to get the short end of the stick. And, you know, depends on who plays the toughest schedule, who plays the longest schedule. Granby's playing a 17-game schedule, whereas Norview and Maury currently are playing 14. You know, that's a thing in and of itself. That's awkward. We should be filling our schedules all the way full. We should not have games left. Because there's still teams out there that we can go find games against. Even if we're not doing... if we don't have the Peninsula District, there's still places you can go play against the beach schools. You can still go find opportunities against Southeastern District opponents. You can still go find opportunities in the Bay Rivers. Go play New Kent or somebody, you know. Go play Lafayette. Go to Williamsburg. Go play in the Keepers Cup. Give them more teams for more days, right? There's opportunities, but, you know, it's a prerogative if you know, depending on what it is. But that's off topic. That's next week. Trust me. Because I'm going to talk about the regular season schedule next week and just how stupid some of these schedules are, how easy some of these schedules are, how ridiculous some of these schedules are. But again, next week. This week right now is just talking about how badly the Peninsula District screwed this up and how bad for the game this is going to be moving forward. And I hope this is a one and done. I hope they move back to a format of just you play your district schedule once, and then you as the coach, or you, the coach and the AD, work together to create better schedules and to create more competition and camaraderie and opportunities for these kids, for the teams, for the schools, because this just isn't it. So, and if not, like, I genuinely, like, I will fully be behind if people, you know, have an inkling of, hey, this is not cool. I'm fully behind that idea. And I'm happy to lend my voice in that direction to rectify this, because this is dumb. It's not the way it should be done. And, you know, it's the same thing with the beach district with football that they're having the issue with right now. The beach kids, most of them never leave the beach. That's a problem. We should see beach schools playing Southeastern District schools and Eastern District schools in football, and not just in scrimmages in the playoffs. It shouldn't be Maury versus Green Run every single year, like in the playoffs. Right, you know, and it's the only time that we see them play. We should see big matchups. Oscar Smith should be able to play Green Run, should be able to play, Cox should be able to play, I don't know, who's another good Southeastern, Nansemond River or Kings Fork, you know? You know, it's just, we should see more interspersed competition, and we don't get that with football. And now because of this dumb rule, because of the way that they have set this up stupidly, the Peninsula District has screwed over their teams, their kids, their players, and unless you really genuinely benefit from this format as a postseason contender, whether you should be there or not, you know, it's kind of one of those things. Just it's bad. It's bad for everybody that actually cares about the game. And if you know, if you care about the game, you understand that this is just not the way to go about it. But that's what they did. So that's what they did. I'm going to pause here. We're going to flip it around. We'll call it halftime, timeout. I'm going to do some more stuff once I'm going to get in there, get my seat, and do some more from the bleachers, and maybe get you guys some footage from the games, because looks like a competitive match so far since I've been here. So catch you guys in a second. Little bit about preseason. Preseason was always one of my favorite parts of the year, because it's when you get the teams together. I enjoyed it as a coach. I enjoyed it as a player. And even now, covering soccer here in the 757, I get up for it every time. So this part of the year is especially special to me, because everybody starts out, they start on the same footing. They start in the same place, and everybody's hopeful. Everybody wants to have a good season. Everybody ultimately wants to end in a title. Now, granted, only a few teams can do that, but luckily enough, we live in an area where we get enough of those contenders every year that we get to see some really awesome performances. So for right now, let's go ahead and get it started. Always bad news first. So let's go top 5 things I don't like about the preseason. Let me look at my paper here. Number 5, the gap from tryouts to the regular season. Always, for me, too long. As a player and as a coach, I always want to jump right into it. I want to jump right into the games. I want the opportunity to just get a scrimmage under my belt, and then I want to go. I want to get into the nitty-gritty of, hey, what do we need to work on? What do we need to fix? And I don't like having a 2.5 week window from the time tryouts end until it's time for game day. But it also, with patience comes good things, and it gives you an opportunity to see what you do have, what you need to work on, and then gives you an opportunity to go into the season with an understanding of where you might stand. Number 4 for me, tryouts getting rained out. We saw that a couple times over the past few weeks, tryout dates getting rained out, clubs having to go into their gym or into another auxiliary facility to try to get their games in. So that's always a bummer, and especially as a coach, when you have to figure out on the fly, like, oh, hey, all of my guys don't have flat shoes, even though I told them, make sure you bring your flats, make sure you bring your indoor shoes. And sure enough, all of them showed up in their Predators and their Tiempos, and they've all got screw-in studs on their cleats, and now they're trying not to tear up the gym floor while the AD's yelling at you. Coaches, I see you. Trust me. Number 3, the same district playing games in preseason as the regular season. We have a couple instances in this preseason where teams are playing teams that they play in district. That one kind of rubs me the wrong way. It's awkward. It's strange, especially if you're rival schools. Playing each other, it kind of seems, it kind of lessens the rivalry for me. It makes it a little bit dull. But at the same time, if it works for you, it works. But considering how few scrimmages there are this preseason compared to years past, there's plenty of teams that you guys could have scrimmaged other than somebody who you're already going to see this season. Number 2 for me, games that start later than 6 o'clock. It's cold. Now, granted, tonight is not that cold. It's not that bad. What a shot. But genuinely, a lot of these games, especially in the early and mid portions of March, and even the late February games, they're colder matches. I'm not a fan of sitting on cold bleachers. Granted, I stand at a lot of y'all's games. I hang out. I come to the sidelines and whatnot. But I'd much rather freeze at 7:30 instead of 9 o'clock. So, having 2 games that kick off at 5:30 and 7 is kind of frustrating for me, I'll be honest. I prefer just having a 4:30, 6 o'clock kickoff at the very, very latest. Okay, 4:30 for a girls game or for the first match, whether it's a JV match, a girls match, whoever, and then 6 o'clock, or if there's just a single match, making it like a 5, somewhere between 5 and 6 as a kickoff. Having it kick off after 6 o'clock doesn't make sense to me, especially this early in the season. So we're just kind of wasting everybody's time. Let's get home. Let's have some soup and do homework, right? And then the number one thing for me that I do not like about the preseason, the lack of schedules on our schools. Jamestown, I'm looking at you. Churchland, I'm looking at you. Salem for a time, I'm looking at you. Who else? Now, with Jamestown, I'll give them credit. They at least have their district schedule on there, but I don't know who else they're playing in Keepers Cup. I don't know whether other out-of-district opponents they're playing. Why? Because somebody didn't update. Please update your R schools. And coaches, please beg your athletic directors to update your R schools. And players, please beg your coaches to get their R schools updated. Do you want to see people come to your games? Very simple. Do you want to see people to come to your games? Then you need people to be able to have access to schedules. Now, as a point of schedules, I have created a master schedule. So coaches, if you would like a copy of the master schedule for me to share it with you on a Google Doc or a Google Sheet, okay, send me an email from either your personal account or from the team account on Instagram, and I can shoot you an email with that document in it. I can share it with you, and you guys can see the master schedule of who is playing who. Granted, now some games may be wrong just because I go strictly off of our schools, but you'll have to bear with me, right? And if you see something, say something. Hey, this isn't right, or hey, this needs to be adjusted. I can adjust it probably right there on the fly. And if not, right then and there, then probably by the end of the evening. So, coaches, if you guys would like a copy of the master schedule, please reach out to me through your either personal Instagram account or through the team account. Or if you have my email, the 757soccerchat@gmail.com, you can do that as well, and I can just do it that way. All of the options are available to you guys. So, now that we've done the things that I don't like about preseason, let's do top 5 of things I do like in preseason. Number 5, the hopefuls. All of the young folks, the freshmen, the 8th graders that want to make the JV team or want to possibly get a chance to play in varsity, the juniors who want to be captain, the sophomores who want a quality starting spot on the team, and then the seniors who have their hopes riding on one last ride. It is the hopeful season, and everybody starts out as a hopeful. Everybody starts out as an opportunist, and hopefully a lot of you folks, a lot of you players and coaches get to realize those hopes, those dreams this season. Number 4 for me, 3-day tryouts. 2 days is never enough. 4 days is way too many. 3 is the sweet spot. I get to see all the players that I need to see. I get to see all the action that I need to see. I can assess my goalkeepers. I can assess my chemistry. I can assess who's going to be a role player, who could be a potential starter. And honestly, at this point in the game, I kind of know who's going to be on my squad, but at the same time, there could be 1 or 2 that jump in from, another sport or that came from another school that are going to surprise and that are going to slip right into the starting lineup, into the top 11, or they're going to play a great role on the bench and be a great supporter of the squad. Honestly, 3-day tryouts, the best. Number 3, everybody is 0-0. We start even. We start out, everybody's on the same footing. Everybody's on the same page. We all have the same goal, hit that state title, getting a region, getting a playoff bid, getting a region title. Okay, everybody is 0-0. So always an opportunity awaiting at the beginning of a season for everybody. Just the way it is. Number 2 for me, jamborees. I want more of those. Okay, First Colonial, they're having a jamboree. The boys, the Granby, Kellum, and First Colonial tomorrow. I think that's a fantastic opportunity to see all 3 of those teams all at once. Bruton is hosting a jamboree this Saturday. Them, Colonial Heights, Western Branch, and another school that's not a local school. If you guys can't tell, Maury and Salem about to kick off, the boys. Okay, but I think that jamborees are actually starting to become the way to go. I think they give schools an opportunity to get more match time in, to work on problems, to play different styles of teams, to play different styles of attack, defense, try out a couple of things that they see in practice that they might want to implement, during the regular season. I think those kinds of things are something that we need to move towards, especially moving forward next season. With how few scrimmages there have been, I don't get it. I think people are going to start to see it moving forward. So hopefully it works out. The number one thing that I love about preseason, it's a new season, it's a new opportunity, and I love this time of year. I love hanging out and seeing matches, and I love the feeling of being right back in it. There's something special about 757 high school soccer. There's something special about soccer and 757 as a whole, and I couldn't imagine being anywhere else. So, really appreciate you guys checking in for this week, and gonna hold off for a bit. And this episode should drop on Friday at the end of the week. I'll have a couple snips come out from that top 5 for each of them, and a couple other things that I'm talking about. Next week, we're going to talk more about the regular season schedule, and we're going to talk about how just busted it is. We're going to talk about some teams that we expect to do well, some teams that we're going to have question marks about. And then if you guys have some questions, we can always throw some fan mail in there, see if you have some ideas as well. So I appreciate you, as always, jumping in and joining me for the time that I've given, for the time that you have. And I look forward to seeing you next Friday on the 757 Soccer Chat.
Yeah! Come on, boy!